Hopefully during class we get through the two odds. Okay, it says solve each by factoring. If you remember, this is when we play that X game. 12 goes at the negative 12 goes at the top. This would be a -1 at the bottom. Look for those factors of 12 that can make 1. I know that 4 and 3 do. And I'm going to give -4, because that'll give me -4 times 3 gives me -12. And -4 plus 3 gives me -1. Then write them out. X minus 4, x plus 3. Remember, they equal 0. Spread them out. X minus 4 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. Solve it. To get rid of a -4, you add a 4. Add a 4. So x is going to equal a 4. And then here, to get rid of a +4, you +3, subtract a 3, subtract a 3. There's your solution set for that one. The next one, if you guys remember, this has to be a 0 at the end to be able to do this. So make it a 0. How am I going to do that? I have a +5. So I'm going to subtract a 5. Subtract a 5. This gives me my 0 at the end. And then 13 minus 5 is an 8. And then it's r squared minus 9r plus 8. Now it's just like the top. Make your x. You've got an 8 and a -9. Remember, it's c over b. So the only one that's going to work here, because I know 4 and 2, and that ain't going to make a 9. So the only one that's going to work here is an 8 and a 1. Now, I'm going to say I'm going to make this negative, but -8 times 1 makes that a -8, so that's not going to work. So I'm going to make this a -1. -8 times a -1 is a +8, and -8 minus 1 makes it a -9. So for this one, write it out. It's r minus 8, r minus 1, and they're equal to 0 still. Then, so if you spread it out, r minus 8 equals 0, r minus 1 equals 0. Add 8 here, add 8 here. So the r's are going to be a possibility of an 8. To get rid of a -1, add a 1. So in this case, it's going to be 1. Okay. All right, our next one, and you guys will see on this, I circled the quadratic formula, made it in a bold print so you know exactly what you got to do. And I'm going to try to remember to do that for the test. Okay, so it says solve each with a quadratic formula. If you guys remember, the quadratic formula is -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c divided by 2 times a. Okay, that's the quadratic formula. That's what you use for this one. So then, all you do is plug things in. So you've got a, b, c. Remember, it's just the numbers. There's not a number in front of the x. It's a 1 then. This is the -4. This is the -32. Then just plug in. So -b is this. Now remember, it's going to go -4. Then plus or minus. Then it's b squared, so -4 squared. Minus 4, a lot of 4s, but remember, this 4 is part of the formula, so it has to be there. Times 1 times a -32. Don't forget your negative sign. Over 2 times a, which a is 1, so I'm just going to go ahead and write a 2 because 2 times 1. Then start figuring. So negative makes it 4. Keep your plus or minus. This is -4 squared, which makes a positive 16. I'm going to put a minus sign, but I'm going to go multiplying. So -4 times a 1 makes it a -4. And then a -4 times a -32 makes it a positive. So I'm going to make this minus into a positive. 128, going to keep my 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and add these together. 4 plus or minus 16 plus 128. So that's going to be 144. So now it becomes 4 plus or minus 144 over 2. Sorry, I know I'm starting to run out of a room a little bit here. So I look to see the square root of 144. That's a perfect square. Nice. So this is going to be a 12. save a little room here. So now I'm going to split this up. I'm going to do 1 plus, so plus 4 plus 12 divided by 2. And then I'm going to do 4 minus 12 divided by 2 to get my solution set. So now I'm going to go ahead and put it over here just because I'm running out of room. So 4 plus 12 is 16 divided by 2. So 1 is an 8. And the other one is 4 minus 12 gives me a negative 8 divided by 2. So that means I'm going to get negative 8 divided by 2 is a negative 4. Okay. Very simple once you guys plug them in. All right. Over here, scratch out that one, rewrite this problem instead. This one, it's got a little more trick to it, and we're not going to worry about that yet. Okay. Like all quadratics, this has got to be a 0 at the end. Make it a 0, you minus 7, minus 7. So this now is a 0 at the end, and that now is a positive 7. Okay, so A is 3, B is 10, and C is a positive 7. Plugging them in, so negative B, so negative 10, plus or minus B squared, so 10 squared again, minus 4 times A, which in this case is a 3, times C, which now, because that's gone, is a 7, over 2 times A, which this case, it's a 3, so 2 times 3. So now start figuring out. I'm just going to kind of make a line here so I can see from what to what. So negative 10 plus or minus, that's 100. This is going to become a negative 12 right here. Then a negative 12 times 7 is 84, and it's negative, so it's negative 84 over 6. Start breaking it apart more. Negative 10 plus or minus 100 minus 84 is another nice 16. 6, so break apart. Negative 10 plus 16 divided by 6. And then negative 10, I'm still on the paper, negative 10 minus 16 over 6. Once again, 2 solutions. So this becomes a 6 over 6, which is a 1. This will become a negative, because negative 10 minus 16, bigger negative, minus 26 divided by 6. So it's a negative. When I divide it, it becomes 2. Oh, wait, I made a small mistake. These 3 square roots. It's still going to come out to 1 on here. Nice little mistake. So this one should be a negative 10 plus 4. Or no, minus 4, so it's 14. Negative 14 divided by 6, which is a 2.33. Okay, watch yourself. Remember, I forgot to square root it, guys. But there was a lucky mistake that happened to still be 1. Okay, the next thing we did was solving each by taking square roots. Okay, so when you have something that is squared to the second power, to get rid of it, you square root it. Remember, there's 2 possibilities, 8 and negative 8. Okay, and if you remember correctly, then we ran into some that would come into a decimal. Square root, 8.602, and then negative 8.602. Okay, down here, remember, it's 2 steps. I'm just going to do one of them. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. B squared is equal to 64. To get rid of the square, you square root. So once again, B is equal to an 8 and a negative 8. All right, let's shoot over to the back. Okay, let's see. Let's pick one. I will do number 11. Couple steps. So start with getting this. So add 9, add 9. I got a negative 4n squared is equal to negative 81 plus 9, kind of take 9 from 81, it's negative 72. Then divide by the negative 4, divide by the negative 4. I get an n squared is equal to a positive 18. So to get rid of the square root, n is equal to 4.24 and negative 4.24. Okay? All right. For 13 and 14, find the discriminant and state the number of TAPA solutions. Okay? Your discriminant is kind of the inside of the quadratic form. It's b squared minus 4 times a times c. So, let's take a look. I got a negative 2. That's your a. That's my b. My c usually is my number in here. So in this case, c is going to be 0. So plug them in. So b squared is 6 squared minus 4 times the negative 2 for a and 0 here. So negative 4 times the negative 2 will give me an 8, and an 8 times 0 makes it 0. So this side is, I'm just going to put a plus 0. And then this is 6 times 6, which is 36. 36 plus 0 is 36. So my discriminant is equal to 36. This is bigger than 0, so that means there are 2 real solutions. Okay? All right, let's get through one of the graphs on the video. I'm going to do 16. Hopefully we got 15 in class done. Okay? So, once again, decide up or down. A is 1 and it's positive, so it's going to go up. Be careful, there's probably going to be a down on the test, okay? So just don't go with that. Vertex, remember, it's a negative b over 2a. So negative b is a negative 6. So remember, you keep your negative, go a negative 6. And it's 2 times 1, so it's 2. So this would be a positive 6. So 6 divided by 2 equals 3. Remember, your x and your vertex is your axis. Your y-intercept is your c, so that's 5. To find y for your vertex, plug in this 3 into your equation. So wherever there's an x, so 3. So 3 squared minus 6 times 3 plus 5. So then 3 times 3 is 9 minus 18 plus 5. So negative 9 minus 18 is a negative 9 plus 5. So that means it's a negative 4. So my y in this case is a negative 4. So now begin graphing. So 3, negative 4. 3, negative 4. There's my vertex. That means this is my axis of symmetry. Go 1 over is 4. 1 over is 3. 2 over is 5. And then 2 over is a 1. Okay, so then pick one. These two are going to be the same. These two are going to be the same, YA. So I'm going to go ahead and put a 3 in. Wait a minute. 1 over is 4. This is 5. No. 4 and 2. 5 and 1. My fault. Made a small mistake. So I'm going to plug in 2. So 2 squared minus 6 times 2 plus 5. 4 minus 12 plus 5. This is a negative 8 plus 5, so this is a negative 3. This is a negative 3. Here I'm going to plug in 1. So 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 5. So 1 minus 6 plus 5. This is a negative 5 plus 5, so that's a 0. So these two are 0. Okay. So now plug them, go ahead and graph. We go 4, negative 3, 2, negative 3, 5 and 0, going nowhere, 1 and 0. Then draw your parabola. Remember, they have to go out like this. All right?